So blue bubbles is what Apple users get when they text another Apple user using iMessage. So green bubble is what Apple users get when they receive a text from the person they think that can't afford an iPhone. So green bubble is what Apple users think a red flag is. So green bubbles is what Apple users think they get when they receive a text from a poor person. I'm sorry. So green bubble is what Apple users get when they receive a text from a non-iMessage user. But why do we have green bubbles and blue bubbles? Let's rewind time back a little bit. Back in my days, back in the days, they had a less secure and low quality messaging protocol. Think of a protocol as a form of transportation. So we have bikes, cars, planes, and ships for transportation. They're all means of transportation, but they're all different. See, an SUV is way more convenient for a family than a bike, and a plane is way more convenient at traveling overseas than a car. They're all means of transportation, but they have their level of differences and conveniences. So think of a protocol that way as a form of transportation, but in this case, transporting files from one device to the other. And so anyway, as I was saying, back in the days, they had a less secure protocol called SMS or MMS. And if you lived in that era, somewhere in the early 2002s, all you really did with messaging was texting, and all you really cared about was having signal. But time went on, technology advanced, and people started sending media files through messages. But there was a problem. People started noticing files losing their original quality as they were being sent. Okay, let me give you a little background on how data is sent through through the internet. So when you send a photo to someone, the data that makes up that photo is broken down into packets, and each packet has a source, destination, and sequence information. So it knows where to go and knows in what order that it goes, and when it reaches that destination, it know where it came from. So that's the three main information that a packet has: the source, the destination, and the sequence. But the thing with SMS is that if a photo is too large, it'll compress that photo, and we call that a lossy compression. So the photo loses some data just to be sent. And that's why if you send a photo to someone and they receive it, they go, oh, it doesn't look as good as it did on your phone. That's because of that lossy compression that was done just for that photo to be sent. So Apple, being this company that wants to be different and better, created iMessaging to allow iPhone users to share high quality files, secure messaging, and allow the users to have special text effects. So among the main reasons why we have iMessage today is because of security, high quality, and special effect. So the text read feature, the delivered feature, the confetti, and more functions are just part of the privileges that you get when you use iMessage. And people love those text effects. But the main question is, does it really matter? Does it really matter if I'm using an Android and texting someone that is using an iPhone? That is a question with so many dependencies, but the short and simple answer is no, it does not matter. Because you might have heard that Apple recently adapted RCS to give Android users some of the functionality that iPhone users have. But that doesn't change the green bubble and blue bubble saga. It doesn't. Okay, so I mentioned that it depends on whether this matters or not. Fun fact, my mom used to use an Android phone, but because my sister was getting an iPhone, so she decides to switch to iPhone so they both can FaceTime. I don't know why she didn't do that for the boys, but it's okay. We're not mad. We're not mad. So, if you're a kid here in the US, there's a huge chance that your family members already use an iPhone. There's a huge chance that your friends use an iPhone. And there's a huge chance that your friends already have Apple earbuds. And you might want that too. And what better way to reap the benefits of an Apple earbuds than owning an iPhone? So that's some of the factors that can influence why a person gets an iPhone. You might want to FaceTime with your friends, and you can't really do that if you're not using an iPhone. So now it feels like we're in this bubble that is hard to burst unless Apple agrees to work with Android. Now, this whole blue bubble, green bubble saga is only that big of a deal here in the US. Most countries use WhatsApp to communicate. I mean, that is the cheapest, reliable, fastest, and easiest way to communicate with family members, especially overseas. So for most kids here in the US, having an iPhone or an Android is no longer a matter of choice or security, but preferences. You want an iPhone because your friends have iPhone. You want an iPhone because your families have iPhone. That's the main reason why you want it, not because you chose it, but because of that preferences. So you don't want to be left out. There's a whole writing on how this can lead to bullying. So the question of does it really matter or not depends on you. I've said this before and I will keep saying this. Get something because one, you can afford it. Two, it's reliable. Three, you're comfortable with it. Nothing less and nothing more. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one. Cheerio. Stay cool.